It's finally fall. Hey everyone, welcome to Boho Bookworm. Today I'm doing the finally fall book tag. I don't know who the original creator was, but I was tagged by Ashley, who is a booktuber that I recently found via Bookstagram. We are busy buddy reading Heartwarming by Colleen Hoover together, so I'll leave her channel in the description box down below. Be sure to give her a follow. Thank you very much for the tag, and now let's get on to the questions. Number 1. In the fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. So for this one, I chose Invisible Girl by Lisa Jewell. So Lisa Jewell is a book that follows quite a cast of characters. We've got this really troubled young girl called Sapphire Maddox. Something really bad happened to her when she was like 10 years old, so that led her into like a very depressive state where she used to self-harm and do horrible things. She went to this child psychologist called Rowan Ford, and one day Rowan decides to say to her, well, you know, you're more than capable of dealing with this stuff by yourself now. So he basically like sends her on her way in life, but she's not really ready for that. Like, she's grown an attachment to this guy. So she starts following him around a little bit. It kind of becomes like this obsessive kind of a state with him where she just needs to figure out what's going on in his life. And she discovers some very dirty secrets. Amidst all this, across from Rowan Ford lives this guy called, I've forgotten his first name, something Pick, but he is the last person to see Sapphire Maddox alive. She goes missing, right? And Mr. Pick is this school teacher that is accused of sexual misconduct with his students, so he's already not in a very good light, and the Fords family don't really like him. I think he's a bit creepy, so could he be involved in Sapphire's disappearance? Very, very interesting storyline. But overall, I chose this book because I found that Lisa Jewell's writing style was absolutely phenomenal. It really did give, like, even though the book itself was really slow paced, she managed to give off this really deep and bizarre feel to this book that you couldn't help but be invested in and just completely compelled by. If you are looking for a really good fall book, I highly recommend that one to you. Right, question number 2. Nature is beautiful, but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written, but also deals with a heavy topic. So for this one, I chose one that I finished today, which is After the Silence by Louise O'Neill. And if you have me on Goodreads, you'll know that I literally just gave this book a 2 out of 5 star review, which pains me because I love Louise O'Neill. I really, really do. I've loved everything she's ever written. So to give her book a bad rating really does hurt my heart. But the reason I chose this book is because, regardless of the fact, I've got something in my drink, that I thought it wasn't the best overall, Louise O'Neill has an incredible writing style, and it did have that like tension-packed domestic kind of feel to it that I love in her books. Yet, to be honest, with After the Silence, I found it quite boring. The premise sounded really good, you know, like you've got this documentary crew that are covering this like decade-old case about this unsolved murder, and there's this family called the Kinsellas who this body was found in their garden, and for years everyone kind of thought that they were involved somehow, but there's no proof. So now, all these years later, with this case getting media coverage, people think that, oh, maybe justice will finally be served. But even though that sounds really good, and like everyone's like, oh yeah, you know, true crime lovers will absolutely love it, and I love true crime, this book didn't meet my expectations. I kind of thought that it would be a lot more thrilling than it was. I found it just very like a bland mystery book, and it didn't do it for me. However, like the question says, name a book that is beautifully written but also deals with a heavy topic. And regardless of the fact that I gave it a shit review, it was beautifully written, and I do recommend it because it's Louise O'Neill. I'll read anything she ever does. And it does deal with massively heavy issues such as, you know, domestic violence and just horrendous things that go on inside a marriage that you don't see behind closed doors. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this book to you. Number 3 says, fall is back to school season. Share a non-fiction book that taught you something. So I have been reading a fair bit of non-fiction books these last few years. So the book that I'm going to recommend to you today is Buy Yourself the Fucking Lilies, which is written by Tara Schuster. To be honest, when I found this book, I knew nothing about the author. I just knew from the title that I had to have it in my life. The majority of the time, I find self-help books can be really egotistical and quite arrogant. However, I found this book absolutely marvellous. Schuster was able to lay the cards out on the table with this book while still making it something really friendly. It was like talking to a friend about an issue that you had, or a friend talking to you and giving you advice about something. It wasn't like shoving something down your throat at all. It was like a really conversational book and really easy to read. And many parts of this book literally had me breaking down in tears. And I can't really elaborate on this too much because it's quite personal, but I really took on board everything that Schuster was saying in this book. It just came at such the most perfect time in my life. It kind of overwhelmed me in a way, but in the best way possible, because it felt like there was finally someone out there that understood how I feel, if that makes sense. What this book does, if I can try and explain it in a way, is right. Say this has all of your fucked up insecurity, doubts, everything that's inside your head that you just can't shake, right? What this book does is shows you how to get the fuck rid of it. It teaches you how to reparent yourself. The author offers this practical advice, solid methods of how to fix your life. Yeah, I really highly recommend it if you're at a certain stage in your life where things aren't adding up or something's not really making sense. Give this book a go, because it really helped me out when I needed it the most. Number 4 says, in order to keep warm, it's good to spend some time with the people that you love. Name a fictional family, household, or friend group that you'd like to be a part of. So the majority of books I read don't really have friend groups and stuff like that in them. Occasionally if there's a thriller book and a whole bunch of girls get together and go to a cabin or something, but they're normally all kind of twisted and have secrets and stuff. So it's not really the kind of question I think that is meant for a thriller lover. I'd love to say, Hermione, Ron and Harry, but no one really likes J.K. Rowling anymore these days, so this is impossible to answer one for me, to be honest. Number 5. Colourful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall-covered spines. I only have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books in my life right now, which is probably the least I've ever had in my life, because I normally have a lot of books, as in enough to fill an entire library worth, but unfortunately right now I don't even have a bookshelf, so I can't answer that. If I wanted to show you fall-covered spines, all my books would have to go into the fireplace first and be singed, so not gonna happen. Number 6. Fall is the perfect time for storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein someone is telling a story. So for this one, I'm choosing The Patient by Jasper DeWitt. So The Patient is far from what I thought it would be. I really kind of expected this thriller book surrounded by a mental health aspect. It was far from it. It's about this psychiatrist who is busy trying to help someone suffering from massive mental health in a psychiatric hospital. It's a very supernatural kind of book. And books on horror don't do it for me, but I do know so many people that have absolutely loved this book, which is why I'm bringing it up today. Just because I don't personally like a book doesn't mean that you're not going to absolutely love it. I think we've all established by this stage, if you've been here for any amount of time, I have a very select genre that I enjoy. Thrillers and stuff, you know, domestic suspense kind of a thing. Whereas I wish I enjoyed horrors and contemporary and YA and fantasy more, because so many of you do, and it would probably really help me connect with you all more, which is what I'd love, but I have to be true to myself and authentic. So all that being said though, this book did leave me with a sense of unease. Jasper DeWitt tells the story as if it kind of almost starts out like it's a true story, because he is busy kind of showing you or telling you about patient files and stuff, and you're like, whoa, is this actually real? And then as you go along you realise obviously no, it can't be, but it was really, really cool, and it gave it a very atmospheric, creepy element that I appreciated a lot. Yeah, if you like books about, you know, possession and kind of Stephen King-y type books, then I do suggest that you pick this one up and see what you think about it. Let me know. It's not really my kind of a thing, but I will always try and be as open and honest as I can and say if I think a book would appeal to you regardless of if it's my genre or not. So there you go. Night's Getting Darker. Recommend a dark, creepy read. So for this one, I'm going to just shamelessly plug it. My book, The Pirouette Predator by J.D. Wright, now on sale for a couple of quid. Come on, just look at it. It's beautiful. It's little, it's lovely. It's beautiful matte cover. Like, this is stunning. And it's a book about a serial killer in a small town where a whole bunch of ballerinas are starting to disappear one by one. My main character is a girl called Piper Brady, and her twin sister is one of the girls that goes missing. So she goes back to her old town and is desperate to find out what happened. That is all that needs to be said. I do suggest you get it because it is good. And there will be more. NaNoWriMo is next month. God help me, I'm going to write another book. Number 8, Days Getting Colder. Short, heartwarming read that could warm somebody's cold and rainy day. This is what I want you guys to recommend to me. If you've made it this far in the video, let me know, because I do not read many short stories. I really want to get into them. I want to start being able to write them. It's something that has always kind of flown over my head, because my writing is quite descriptive and intricate. It doesn't really fit with, you know, short stories that can be summed up in, say, 19 pages. So if you've got any short stories for me that you'd like me to check out that's in my kind of genre, you know, thriller, not horror, not bizarre, not supernatural shitty stuff that I don't like, sorry, then please let me know. I'd love to get some tips and tricks on short story writing. So yeah, that's my answer to that one. Number 9 is fall returns every year. So does spring and summer and winter. But anyway, name an old favourite that you'd like to return to soon. So for this one, I'm going to say Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. So yeah, I'd love to read the book again one day, because looking back, it is probably the first thriller book I ever read that just, I've never looked back since. Ever. It sold me on the thriller genre. I read it just after I lost my fiance, and I stopped reading romance, which was my normal genre, and it just grabbed my heart and didn't let it go. Now I'm a thriller writer, all thanks to Gone Girl. So yeah, I'd love to read it again, and I'd also love to see the movie again. So that's my answer. Number 10, fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share your cozy reading accessories. I don't really have cozy reading accessories. I mean, I love big chunky jumpers and like big thick slip socks, you know, with like the padding on the back so that you don't slip when you walk, because you never know how much wine I've had by that point. I also love a hot water bottle, which is right now warm and right by my thighs because it's warm there. I love beanies and just blankets. Yeah, it's not really an accessory, but either a lovely glass of red wine or pumpkin spice latte, loads of candles, normally like cinnamon or pumpkin flavour, something like that, like, or, you know, just all the cozy feels. You can't go wrong. Lastly, spread the autumn appreciation. So I've got to tag some people. So I'm going to tag Emma from Drinking by My Shelf, Peter from Peter Likes Books, Gabby from Gabby Reads, Jacqueline from Jacqueline, and April from Getting Her Good With It. These are some of my absolute favourite booktubers at the minute. If I go onto my subscriptions and look at who's released new videos, these are the guys that no matter what, I will make time in my day to watch their videos because I really appreciate what they have to say about books in general. So there we go. I hope you all enjoyed this video and are enjoying fall, whether you're in, you know, fall or another season. Hopefully I'll talk to you soon. Leave a comment, say hello. I really like it when I know people are actually watching, because I see the views but I don't get that many comments. And come on, like, reach out to me, say hi. I love it. I want to know who's watching my videos. Like, interact with me, tell me if I'm recommending you a good book and you're like, yeah, I'm going to the bookstore today to buy this book. It's intimate, it's amazing. Nothing makes me happier than hearing that I've helped someone find a new book in their life. So yeah, anyway, I hope you all have a lovely day and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.